Hey everybody, so let's talk about motorcycle right to repair, or how could right to repair affect motorcycles. I'm sure you've seen in the past few years, or quite a lot of years actually, how right to repair is becoming more and more of an issue that people are talking about, where companies are not giving like schematics to independent workshops to fix things, and equally they're not giving parts, that the manufacturers make. The parts for their items, they'll say to the manufacturer, you can't sell that to anyone else. And this basically means that people can't fix their own equipment, their own phones, their own devices, or get other people to fix them. I'm sure if you looked into Lewis Rossman and a lot of the stuff that's going on in America with it, and there's been stuff in the UK, it's been quite a big deal. But they are really forcing this into everything they can. It makes sense with phones and things like that. Well, I don't say makes sense, but you can see how they can do it. But they're also doing it with vehicles, like cars and farm equipment, things like that, where if you need the part to fix it, they're not going to sell it to you. And you can't get hold of it, so you have to go to their approved dealerships and pay their exorbitant prices to get the small part that might cost you like $5. I mean, that's a perfect example, like Apple, with certain devices where there's one small chip that goes that might cost you 20 cents, but because they won't sell it to you, unless you have a donor board to take the chip from, you can't fix that board, and it turns a 5-10 cents part to repair with a bit of labour into a much bigger deal, replacing entire boards and possibly writing off the entire thing, which is obviously not good for the environment because we want things to be usable and last as long as they can. Now, I've seen a few different ways they've been doing this with cars, but mainly it seems like locking people out of the software, not allowing them to tune them, adjust things within them, because they're doing weird things. And this is the subscription services for heated seats. Apparently, like, you can buy a car that will have heated seats fitted in it because it's cheaper to just fit them in all of them, but then the person has to pay an amount of money, a subscription, to have those heated seats working. And if they don't, the company remotely turns them off. Now, because obviously you can't get into their software and make changes, you can't just turn it on. But why shouldn't you be able to do that? There's nothing stopping someone just running power to those heated seats through an auxiliary system if they weren't sort of protected to stop. And that's where you start to question who really owns a device. Is it really owned by you if you can't necessarily do this or that to it? I mean, I can understand taking things apart, warranties, but not some of this stuff. So of course, with an inquisitive mind, I start thinking, well, how would they do this to motorcycles? How would you incorporate this into motorcycles? I mean, of course, in ways some companies already have. Ducati's had their own tools for a long time, as I understand it. Some bikes require specialist Ducati brand, well, not branded, but specialist tools, which were very expensive, but then trying to rip them off, made a cheaper version, and then that allowed everyday people to work on their Ducatis. So that was kind of like an attempt to do it with security fastenings, as it were. But as you know, with all security fastenings, you just buy a set called security fastenings and you just undo anything. So I thought, well, okay, let's go the most butthole-ish way that you could do this. You could do things like having, a star shape for how your brake disc sits onto your hub. So you have to have star-shaped holes in your discs, which you can only buy from Honda, let's say, or Yamaha, whoever's independently doing this, and saying that you have to buy discs from us for them to fit. Well, it's only so long before China or another company, third party, just goes, well, we can cut the same hole in the disc, that's not going to stop us. And, that stops it there. And I'm sure the bike companies know this, and there's no point trying to go down that road. The same with fairings, and anything that's made of metal and plastic, basically, can be copied. And that's where it comes down to the code again. And, old bikes are not going to have this problem. You've got a simple ECU, which is more like a timing chip than anything, just to know what to do. It's not one of these highly advanced computers, basically. So as far as I know, right to repair hasn't really hit motorcycles too bad, other than maybe in tuning. But then don't you then just replace the entire ECU? But then why should you be able to have to do that? Why can't you adjust your own settings? If you buy something, you should be able to turn the settings to 11 and blow it up. Okay, yeah, you're not going to get covered by a warranty, and that's completely fine and understandable, but you should be allowed to do it. But then they say, safety, if someone does that and then hurts themselves, then we get sued. Well, no, I don't know about that so much. Sorry, I've just noticed my camera might be a little bit wonky to start with, the one on my chin. This is the first time I've actually run this helmet with all the stuff on it now. I had to go through the sacrilegious, please look this way, thing of sticking the mount on it, but you know, it's okay. I love this helmet. This is the Icon variant bug chucker they sent me. I've done a video on it recently. I am very, very happy with it. Anyway, sorry, I've just jumped off the subject. What do you think about right to repair with motorcycles? Is there anything I haven't noticed yet that exists now which would class as anti-right to repair in motorcycle builds or issues you've come across getting parts? I mean, there's always that thing of, like in with a DR, I needed a very small washer and I couldn't seem to get it from anyone, and Suzuki like, oh, you want that washer? You have to buy the entire assembly. So rather than buying a £5 washer, it's like 300 quid. Now that is just because you've got to find the part. If the part exists, if they've got one, you should be able to buy it when it comes to O-rings and seals and stuff, because they're so universal. But it's when it's more unique things, that's when it starts to become a problem. What if some company suddenly said, oh, I'm going to make a fork seal, oil seal that's hexagonal, but the circle in the middle's round? I mean, I know it wouldn't work, but you know what I mean. Like trying to do something radical just to screw the customer over. I think people would see that coming, and maybe the bike industry is a little bit more emotional and reactionatory to things. You know, I'm thinking back to when I think Triumph had their electrics started to be done in China or something, and there were some problems. People were throwing them under the bus. I mean, obviously they sort themselves out now, mostly, I believe. So yes, what are your thoughts? Have you come across any sort of right to repair issues, and how do you think they would implement right to repair? What would be possible that people couldn't get around? That's the thing I'm sort of concerned about. Like, I'm trying to work out what they could do. Is that a McLaren? It is! Anyway, like the video for the McLaren, why not? All the videos, content itself, that's what you liked it for, right? Right? Subscribe if you're new here, I'd appreciate it. I'm very close to 100k now. And if you want to help support this channel, please consider doing that through Patreon. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.